some interesting stuff going on right now among the Democrats. Biden has just said recently, apparently he told Obama, this is what was reported, that he's going to run again. I think he is. I think they're just gonna push Biden forward, and they're just gonna say he's great, he's fine, fit as a fiddle. What are you talking about? They live in the unreality anyway. They live in an alternate universe as it is. They think that masks on planes are keeping them safe or something. So saying that Joe Biden, yeah, he's about to run an ultra marathon, he's great, he's sharp as a tack, the whole thing. They'll go with it. They don't care. But yes, sir.
He's going to be 82, Buck. I just don't think we can emphasize this enough. If Joe Biden runs for re-election, he will be 82. In theory, when he finished his term, he would be 86 years old. And I understand that the Democrats may be so desperate that they feel like he's the only person that they can drag across the finish line weekend at Bernie's 2 style. For those of you out there, the analogy is perfectly apropos if he runs. I cannot believe, Buck, that he's going to be out in Iowa and in New Hampshire and like he's going to be shaking hands and like running a campaign. It's crazy.
He's going to be shuffling around on stage, looking confused. They're going to say, "Oh, he's amazing. He's great." They doesn't care. They'll say anything. I mean, the Democrats that voted from the first time were reckless. I mean, that were pushing for him the first time in the media were reckless and didn't care about what the reality of all this is. And, they're going to push him forward. What's interesting is that you have seen some stories, though, about, and this is from NPR, so it's not like we're going into the right-wing media ecosystem here, far from it. Potential 2024 rivals Harris and Buttigieg ally to sell the Biden agenda. Pete Buttigieg, the former and not very competent while doing it mayor of South Bend, Indiana. This is remarkable. Now he's the transportation secretary, which he is also terrible at, by the way. If you go and look at any of the things the transportation department has been up to and doing, never mind Pete's family
paternity leave. He was on paternity leave for a long time as we dealt with the worst supply chain crisis in the history of modern industry. So this is not a guy. Plus, let's be honest. I mean, I think it just has to be said. Black guys are not voting for Mayor Pete. There is a 0% chance of a gay white guy getting elected as the nominee for the Democratic Party. He might be able to be a vice president. You saw what happened to him whenever black voters went to the polls. Black guys are not voting for a gay white guy to be president. They're just not. Maybe in 20 years, things are going to be different. It's as if you aren't allowed to mention that. So this is how bad Kamala is. That Mayor Pete is now like the saving grace all of a sudden for the Democratic Party.
And Kamala, and remember, both Kamala and Buttigieg didn't do well in the Democrat primary. So the people, yes. I mean, let's be very clear about the expressed will of Democrat voters from their most recent primary. The big three were Biden, Bernie, and Elizabeth Warren. All old, all white. Yep. Those are the three primary, most vote candidates that the Democrat Party is pushing for. Now, Joe Biden, of course, beat those other candidates largely because the African-American primary vote went so strongly for him. We know this. But the point is, they didn't go for, diversity at the top of the ticket. And
far from it.
Now they have Kamala Harris as the vice president, and she was at the Vandenberg Space Force Base just a couple of days ago, and we wanted to share one of Kamala's truly Kamala moments here for you.
I think everyone here recognizes how extraordinary space is. Whether it is satellites that orbit the Earth, humans that land on the moon, or telescopes that peer into the furthest reaches of the universe. Space is exciting. It spurs our imaginations, and it forces us to ask big questions. Space, it affects us all, and it connects us all.
Is she talking to a third grade class? It's amazing.
Is it possible, Buck, that there is a Republican operative in the vice president's speech department that is actually just running the greatest subterfuge campaign of all time. Because what's amazing, not only about Kamala Harris being maybe the worst public speaker of all time, is that she delivers that speech like it's so profound. That reads like a sixth grader who has to do a speech on space and hasn't read anything. That's your vice president. Thanks, Kamala.